Hey there everybody, Joe here. I'm going to talk about a very helpful trick that I always use when I'm doing skin tone. This is a rendering for a 12-foot long mural that I'm going to do for a little church out in Knoxville, Tennessee. So I want to make all my mistakes on a little one and then identify all of my favorite colors on the small scale so that I can just duplicate it on the big one. It's worth the extra time when there's a mural that I don't want to be redoing things on. I've talked about transitionary colors in my How to Paint Clouds video and in other videos. So paint is not like light, and so very rarely do I just blend a shadow color to a light color and leave that intermediate color that it makes for my finished product, because it doesn't represent what light does when light mixes. For instance, if I shine I've used this example before, a blue light from a bright blue sky on a yellow truck, a yellow tractor, that is not going to make a green result. It's going to be gray. So if you add any color to either one of those colors, the blue or the yellow, then you're adding that color to the gray. If I had a yellow sunset shining on blue water, it'd just be a gray reflection. But then if that sunset starts getting slightly orange, you're adding red. You're replacing the yellow sunset with red, so that gray is going to start turning red and it's going to start looking more violet, because you'll be mixing that little bit of extra red with that blue water. You'll get a more and more violet. And same with the blue. You have a yellow sunset. If that water starts turning purple, adding red to it, then you're going to have more of a violet result, a grayish violet. I use transitionary colors in all of my paintings. And so when I do a shadow color and a light color, I want to think about what they're going to mix when they come together. And usually it just means adding more red, because the result with paint is almost always too green, too grayish. So I just add red to get a good transitionary result. That is to compensate for the filtering effect, where paint has this subtractive nature where particles on top of particles are filtering each other, and you get rid of some of the color of the two primaries. You know, you make that transitionary color to make it look like light. But with skin tone, there's yet another factor that makes the transition even brighter, and that is what's going on beneath the surface. I saw one comment on one of my videos called it subsurface scattering. I'm not familiar with terminology, but that's what's happening is it's subsurface and the light is scattering beneath the surface. And so light comes in his arm, my arm. You can see it in real life. The blood is what's beneath the surface. I mean, it's all just bright red under there. And we've all looked at our hand under a flashlight in a dark room. It turns this bright red. Well, the only reason it's not bright red now is because there's brighter lights that are mixing colors with that red, causing it to be more neutral and not so bright red. But that doesn't mean that there's no red there. So the light goes in, and while on the surface the shadow can be a pretty hard line, it just stops where it stops. Beneath the surface, the light is bleeding out into that substance, and so it's going beyond that edge of the shadow, making a much more red color right between the shadow and the light. So I use my most intense orange and reds right between the shadow and the light. So when you're doing skin tone, that is the key to making it look alive and not dead, like it's filled with blood. Is whatever color the blood is, I don't care if it's green, you put that color in the transition between the shadow and the light. And so I put all this red orange in here, right in between that shadow and light. And it makes them have that real lively look, especially with the hands. You know, the hands have a lot of red in them, so I put a real bright red on the fingers. And in between the thumb and the shadow, you can see there's a real good example. I did it on his face everywhere. And that really helps it to look natural, like real skin tone. It doesn't matter so much what the shadow color is. I tried a more violet backlight, then I did this more tan backlight on his bed. You know, I can change the color of that shadow as long as I keep a transition that looks like that subsurface light scattering and lighting up that red blood that's beneath the skin. It's right in between. And here's something else that has been real helpful to me, is understanding that everything turns yellower as it gets brighter. What I mean by that is it gets closer to yellow. So a blue may not ever get to yellow as it gets brighter in the sun. A blue may just get to green as it's turning toward the yellow. But a green leaf turns more of a yellow green when sun shines through it. Not bounces off of it so much, but shines through it, like this big shroud here. So where I wanted light to be coming through it, I added the yellow. If it's a violet, a purple substance, and you want it to look like it's getting lit up, then that purple might turn to red and then orange and then yellow as it gets brighter. But the purple wouldn't go to purple and then blue and then green as it gets brighter. It goes the other direction. So then imagine a line between the violet and the blue. The blue goes toward the green, the purple goes towards the red, but both are going toward yellow, like they're going right in the order of the rainbow colors. And as they get brighter, they follow that order of the changing hue. So I remember that, and I just add yellow. I make everything that's where light's coming through and getting filtered yellower. And then as it gets darker, I added more red. So in these shadows, this is more red. And, you know, so let's say that the true color of this sheet is like a tan, maybe like a dirty brown color, or maybe it's just a gray. And so it's going to start filtering the light as it comes through, and where it filters it the least, where it's brightest, it's going to be the most yellow. But then I'm going to start going toward one end of the spectrum. I'm either going to start going greener and bluer as I get darker, which would look weird on this. So I chose to get oranger and then redder as it gets darker, just going in reverse. When I paint an ocean wave, I start with the dark color and add the bright light. Start with the dark blue, make it go greener. But in this, I started with the bright yellow and made it get orange, red. Human form, there's a lot to it, but what I can tell you is the most valuable thing for me in learning anatomy is learning where the joints are. I want the distance from the neck to the shoulder to look natural, the distance from the shoulder to the elbow. They're basically just straight connections in between, so that's not too hard to remember. The thing that you want to have locked into your memory and in practice is getting those distances memorized so that it looks natural, and then learn different muscle shapes and structure after that. Anybody can draw a little stick man. Well, you take a stick man and you say, well, from now on I'm going to make my stick man with a torso that's this long and a shoulder width that's this wide. In comparison to that, there's always ratios that make it look more natural. Commit your memory to ratios and where the joints are, the shoulders, where the neck is, because then you know how it's bending, how it's moving, and makes it easier to understand what you're drawing where, if you at least know where those things connect. I modeled the face after Akiane Kramarich's Prince of Peace. I don't think it looks just like him. I mean, I'd like to do some more work and get a good likeness, but I think it's an awesome story of hers, and so I thought it'd be fun to do the honor of using that same face. I'm gonna fine-tune this and then work on my big mural, and I'll keep you posted on the progress on that one. So now let's do some Q&A. I'm gonna look at some comments. On last week's video, Joanne's Berkshire Scenes says, what type of paint do you use for that, and what would the lifespan of the painting on the pole be? That's a good question. I get this question a lot. What kind of paint do you use? And you can use oil-based paint on metal, and it'll last longer and be more durable. I mean, oil paint is more durable, is like bulletproof, especially the kind they make for painting steel. But, for your own comfort and you know, it's not fun to breathe all those fumes. So that was water-based paint. That was normal wall paint that I used to paint that pole. And it doesn't expand and shrink like wood or other things. So the life is really long, but it can be chipped off. But in that case, I didn't care. It's just going to look more like an aspen tree if that white chips off and leaves that dark colored metal underneath. But you can get really good acrylic paints for metal these days. A lot of paint stores just ask for something specifically for that. And a bonding primer is a really good thing to use if you're unsure about the surface you're painting on. Use a bonding primer and then whatever kind of paint that you want to use. When I'm working with water-based paint, I get a lot of questions about blending paint. And you saw on those aspen trees, I blended the shadows with my finger. I just kind of smeared it. But I used an airbrush on that real big aspen mural job that I did. But my point is that blending is difficult with water-based, but you know, you can accomplish very complex gradients just by layering and doing little sections at a time. When I did this Jesus painting, I blocked out my colors with just hard edges. I just did areas without blending at all of the colors. And then I can just do a thin layer over the top of that transition, and it's just a tiny area, so it doesn't dry too fast on me. And I can do just like I did on the aspen tree, where I smear it out with my finger or dab it, or maybe just use my brush lightly. But layers are the key to blending with the water-based paint. And okay, so let's go to Stu Wright. Good to see you, Joe. Wasn't expecting a 3D demo. Good job. Well, thank you, Stu. That's very nice. I see a lot of your comments. I really appreciate you checking out my videos. Medina El Sayed, you are so modest and humble. You don't see that very often. Keep it up. Congratulations on your newborn. Hey, thank you for calling me modest and humble. Do you think maybe you can make me like a button or a trophy that says humble and I could wear it in all my videos? One of these days I'm gonna show off my newborn. I am proud of that cute little boy, but he's been driving me crazy. Man. Cynthia Godin. Wish I had thought of doing this before I boxed the pole in my basement. I'd like to see you paint a mural on the wall next to your tree. I mean, I agree. I would like to do a whole bunch of fancy stuff to the color behind it and turn it into a real big project. I mean, that was the last minute idea to turn those things into aspen trees. They were just going to be metal poles. So we had to stop there. Joanne Mincher says, "Hi, it's great to hear you chatting on a more personal basis. Not many of the other artists do this. Great getting to know you. By the way, big congratulations on your newborn." This makes me realize how little I talk about my life, you know, on my videos. I appreciate these congratulations on the newborn. This has been a big deal, you know. A lot has happened. We have 3 kids now. I have Zoe is my daughter. She's 11. Joseph is 10. And is Joseph 10? And then Zayden, he was a surprise after like 9 years thinking we were done with having kids. We have a baby. So he's a huge blessing. Super cute little boy. But man, he is a fussy boy. How about Ginny Jan 5? Is that how you say Ginny Jan 5? From the UK. Thanks, Joe, for sharing your talent. I'm new to painting and have learned so much from watching your videos. Yes. I love those kind of comments. Thanks for the shout out from the UK, Ginny Jan. Becky Brenneman. I love the way you paint and explain things. You do have great cheat codes. They feel like cheat codes, huh? John Little, every time you paint, I learn something new, so continue, and I will watch. I appreciate that, John. Thank you so much. Besides your talent, I appreciate your honesty, says I don't know how to say that. It's easy to say that everything is going well, right, the first time. I learn a lot from you and would like to thank you for that. You say you need dislikes, but I cannot help but give you a thick like. Thanks for the effort you take to share your knowledge. I learned a long time ago that helpfulness was far more valuable than talent. And I learned, you know, as how-to videos were taking off on YouTube, I noticed that nobody cared how good I was. There's always somebody better. You're just another show-off. But if you can help somebody, and everybody can find somebody that is trying to get to where they are. So whatever you're able to do, just remember that there's somebody trying to get that good. And sometimes all they need is just a hand up to the next step. Not everybody wants to go on Mural Joe videos and see something that might be far beyond what they can think of right away. But just a helping hand to the next step is the most valuable thing. Henk Jan Backer says, you do make it look easy. It would be nice to see you mess up. I mean, see what you deem unworthy. We can learn a lot from that as well. Well said. I'm going to keep that in mind. Musa Sanani, very nice. Thank you very much. Patricia Thurman says, what a fabulous idea, Joe. It is beautiful. Abranico 19 says, can you put Spanish subtitles in your videos? I feel for you, Abranico. It's really hard to take the time to put subtitles in, frequent video posts, but I bet I could find somebody. I'm gonna think about that. Hope of Tomorrow says, your videos always leave me in astonishment. Congratulations and blessing to your little one. I wonder, are you going to paint the murals in the baby room? That can be fun. Very good idea. Keep up the great job. Greetings from the Czech Republic. Nice. Thanks for the shout out from the Czech Republic. That's very cool. That's it for the comments, and thank you so much again for watching. It's always a huge joy for me to post these videos and see the feedback that I get. So I hope I see you again next week. Take care, and we'll see you next time.